I'm gonna show you how to make this inset accent wall that I just designed for my master bedroom. It anchors the whole space without the need for a headboard. If you want to do this project and build yours exactly to scale like mine, look in the description box for the exact dimensions of everything we used. For size reference, we have a king size bed, two 20-inch wide side tables, and 96-inch tall ceilings. I was thinking about doing an accent wall behind the bed, but one of the challenges I'm running into is these little detailed trim pieces. They're in every corner of the room, so it's kind of difficult for me to easily frame out this wall and do a big accent wall. So one thing I was thinking was to do kind of like a headboard accent wall, since we don't have a headboard anyway. I'm gonna do like an oversized headboard accent wall, the width of the side tables, and it's gonna go just about 11 inches shy of the crown molding on the top and about 12 inches shy from the baseboard on the bottom. So kind of like an inset accent wall, and I think it's gonna look amazing. We are just about to install the bottom board for the bottom of this kind of inset accent wall, and I realized that I have to move the board up 4 inches because we've got a bunch of outlets right there. So the whole thing is gonna get shifted up about 4 inches. The first step is to install your perimeter pieces of your accent wall, no matter what kind of accent wall you're doing. I like to start with the bottom board, then the side boards, and then the top board. From there, you can cut the interior pieces to length as needed, because all walls are a little bit wonky. To install the boards, I always use Trimhead screws. I find that they are the easiest to use and I don't have to deal with the mess of wood glue. Make sure you're using a level when installing your bottom board and your left and right side pieces for the perimeter, because that will determine if your whole accent wall is level or not. I've taped up a couple of pieces of MDF just to see where I'm gonna want the piece of trim. And I do kind of like this right now. It's kind of centered up with the side tables, and the sconces are kind of in the center of those. So I do like how this looks. I think we're gonna go with that. But first I'm gonna put some tape up on the wall to see where I'm gonna want my horizontal pieces of MDF to go. We put some tape up on the wall to try and see where we want our horizontal MDF pieces to go, and I think I like this. At this point, we cut down to length the two interior horizontal MDF boards and installed them using Trimhead screws. It's looking really good. The next step is to measure each of the 6 spaces that will be needed for vertical MDF pieces that will kind of frame in the side tables and the sconces. You don't want to assume that all of those spaces are equal, because they're probably not. They're probably going to be a few millimeters variance in between each one at least. We cut to length the small interior vertical pieces and rested them up on the accent wall to make sure that they're the right size, and they are. So the next step is to install them using Trimhead screws. Once all of the MDF is installed, the next step is to use wood filler to fill in all those Trimhead screw holes. I like to use Drydex because it goes on pink and it dries white. So once it turns white, you know it's safe to sand it. All you need to sand the wood filler is a sanding block. I'll include a link to the one that I used for this video. So check it out. This side has not been caulked. You can see where the trim meets the drywall. There's always a little bit of a gap, sometimes a big gap. And caulking will forgive most all of that. So it's really important to caulk before you paint. Let me show you the other side, which has been caulked, so you can see what a big difference it is. This side has been caulked, so you can see that there's no more gap between the trim and the drywall. It just looks a lot more seamless. Caulking is not my favorite thing, but it's so important that you get through it because it'll make your project look so much better. You wanna make sure you have a cup of water with you and an old shirt or an old towel that you don't mind throwing away at the end. After applying each bead of caulk, you're going to swipe over it with a wet finger, and that makes all the difference. Once you've wood filled, sanded, and then caulked, you can paint the whole feature once it's dry. I'm painting mine a bright white. It's called Oxford white, and I love it. Got the first coat of paint almost all the way done, and it's definitely gonna need 2 coats. Here's that before picture, and here is the after. Out of all my favorite projects, this one had the biggest return in the least amount of time. It took a day and a half, and that's only because we ran out of trim head screws. If you guys try this project, tag me in your photos on Instagram. I'd love to see them. It's at Amanda Fallon Homes, and you can find my products list in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.